Oh, hey, I've been waiting for you to begin. So I'm glad you're here. I'm Mark, and I'm a professional artist and an art teacher. And today, I'm about to teach you how to paint skin, but not the dead, plasticky looking kind of skin that most beginners struggle with. No, I'm talking about beautiful skin that looks like it's soft and warm to the touch and looks great in any shade or color. You'll see just how easy it is to do when you actually know how to. And it's hard when you don't. That's deep. All right, let's get started. All right, so when I look back and think about one of my biggest struggles back in the days when working on character art, it always came down to skin. I remember so vividly how much I would struggle getting the right colors, and it always kind of looked dead in the end. Why? Well, turns out the problem was in my choice of colors for the shadows and the highlights. Once that clicked, it was never a problem again. It just kind of always looked good from that point on. It was kind of like this haha moment. And hopefully, I can help you get to the same point in just a couple minutes instead of the days and months and years that it took me. All right, so fast forward a little bit, and now we have some shading on these, and the two of them are shaded differently. Obviously, they don't look the same, and I am sure that one of them will look better than the other for most people. This one, right? With the one on the right here, there's just something that looks a bit dead. The colors are just not as rich, and while it's not bad, and I made sure to render and kind of shade these two silhouettes here as best as I possibly could in a very, very limited amount of time, but just so that the shading wouldn't be impacting kind of the end result as much. And so it's not like one of them is going to look terrible compared to the other one. The difference is very subtle, but I think we can all agree that the left one here just looks better. And why is that? Well, let's tackle this here as if we were about to shade it just like I used to do it when I was younger. So what I would do is I would pick, any color, maybe start with this one here, so like a skin color, and then from there, to get the highlights and to get the shadows, all I would do is maybe like slide it up here to get this color right here, or go down from there and do the complete opposite to get the shadows. So maybe if this is my color, maybe I would go down here, and this would become my new shadow. And this is the problem. In here, as you can notice, we're not changing the color. We're always using the same color, just different values for the same color and different saturations of that same color. And that is the problem. To get good skin, cannot reuse the same color. You have to switch it up. And that is pretty much the secret right there. So let's say you take a color, a skin color like this. Notice the little slider here as it goes down on the scale here, changing the color. So highlights, a little bit yellow, going to the midtones, now a little bit more red in it. And then if we go into the shadows, that's even redder. So it's not that much, but a little bit. And again, the first version, you can see always stays on the same color. And so with similar intensity, similar everything else, that is really the main difference between the two. It has to do with how you change the colors as you transition through the highlights to the midtones and to the shadows. So what's the secret? Red is the secret. And why do we add red as we transition from more and more red as we transition from highlights to midtones to shadows? Well, it's because of what we have under our skin. It's red. It's all red. It's blood, right? Muscles filled with blood. And so the cool thing about this tip, if you want to call it that, it's that it works with any color, any skin color. It really doesn't matter. Working on a character with blue skin, no problem. Same thing applies. So what we have here is bright highlight, then moving to the midtones, get this kind of color here, and then in the shadows, this brown here. And then look at the slider once again as I transition, as I color pick through all of these. And look at what the slider does. It goes towards the red. And of course, very important, you have to take the shortest route towards the red, right? So if we're starting blue here, we're kind of in the middle, but it's a little bit higher than the halfway point. And so to go towards the red, we're going to go up, not down. The shortest route always. So we start with our blue highlights, and then midtones, as you can see, went up a little bit, right? Slightly up from here to here, and then to my shadows. In this case, much more red. But that's fine, as long as it follows the same logic. So now if we're working on a character that has darker skin, for example, well, the same thing applies once again. So if we go with the highlights, midtones, shadows, and then we go through these again and make sure that you look at the slider here. So we start with the brightest color, and then in theory, it should go down and get more and more red as I select the other ones. So this one slid down just a bit more, and then this one again, just a tad more. And so there you go. Blue skin, dark skin, light skin, you name it, it doesn't matter. The only thing that you have to keep in mind when working on skin is that as you transition towards your shadows, you should add more red to the color. Now, I said there was only one thing, but there's actually two different things, two different tips that you should really keep in mind. And I'm about to show you the second one here, the other mystery ingredient to painting skin. So what we're going to do here is do it the wrong way for the top version here. So we're selecting this main color, and then we're going to just slide it up. And then this is going to be our highlights. This is going to be the midtones. And then from here, we go down, straight down, and this is going to be our shadows. Now for this other version, what we're going to do is play around not only with the colors, but also with the saturation for those colors. But first, let's just pick the colors based on what we've seen so far. This is the midtone. What we're going to do for the highlights is go up and a little bit more yellow, something like this. For the shadows, we go down and a little bit more red, something like this. Now, if we go through all of these colors, you can tell, as I color pick each of them, they're mostly centered here, right? They're not desaturated and they're not super saturated. They're kind of, right in the middle. Same applies to these colors too. Now, the second tip, the second trick to make a beautiful skin is to saturate the midtones just a little bit more than the other colors. To do here is slide this to the right here, just a bit. You don't want to go too crazy. You never want to go crazy with skin. Maybe, halfway, something like this. So this is going to become our new color. Now let's use those colors to shade the sphere and see what that looks like. All right, first one, not so bad, looks pretty good. But let's do it again here with our better selection of colors. So now as you can see, the midtones all of a sudden it's a little bit too saturated, right? It looks kind of weird. Now it looks orange. But if we add the highlights on top of that, so that the midtones remain midtones, sandwiched in between our highlights and our shadows, well, look at that now. It creates kind of like this nice halo, this warm halo around the highlight. And I'm sure you will agree that this looks a little bit more alive, right? It almost looks like if you cut it, there would be something red underneath. And when you look at this one there, not bad, but it looks a bit dead, something like a plastic. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the secret. Those are the two secrets to painting beautiful skin, to selecting the right colors to paint beautiful skin, because when it comes to skin, all that matters is the colors that you choose. As a recap, always make sure to add more red to the colors that you choose as you transition from highlights to shadows, making sure that your shadows always have more red. And also very important to saturate your midtones just a little bit more than the other two colors. What's cool with this is that, most of the time when it comes to art, you have to practice, right? Art is not really a spectator sport. You have to be active in the process, but painting skin is not exactly like that. By just watching the theory behind it, and watching how to pick the proper colors, your skin painting skills should already be greatly improved than they were before. Of course, when it comes to painting skill, a big part of it is how you shade your drawings, but lucky you, I have a tutorial for that as well. So I'll put the link up for that in the top right corner of the screen here, or you'll find it down in the description below. Also, it's my birthday today, so I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button and share this, with friends that you think it might help as well. Of course, only if it helped you. Also, down below, you'll find a link to my brushes that I'm giving away for free for the next couple weeks. And, as usual, if you try these techniques, if you try my brushes, whatever it is, I always really appreciate when you tag me on social media, if you share your own results, so that hopefully I can see it. It makes me happy. And when I have time, I always like to share, to repost, hoping to send a little bit more traffic your way. Now, there's only one more tip that I didn't really mention here, and I didn't really want to reveal all my secrets. But anyways, here it is. When you